Confusion. Oh, one of the images in the book I'm using for liminal time and thoughtfulness is by Susan Boymont. How to Lead When You Don't Know Where You're Going gives the example of an airport. And as a form of a liminal space, a sort of non-space. People assemble in airports on their way to and from other destinations. The airport is a critical connecting point, but is not a destination for anyone, except perhaps for the people who work there. When you're in the airport, you're neither here nor there, she says, and we operate with a different set of behaviors than we would be acceptable at home, work, or play. As a frequent traveler, I am powerfully aware of the disorientation I feel in airports and on airplanes. I respond to the disorientation with a sense of urgency once I pass through the TSA checkpoint. I pick up my pace and move quickly, even on days when I have hours to burn before my flight is scheduled to leave. I am also aware of how personally detached I become from everyone around me. I rarely engage in conversation, even when I spend several hours in physical contact with the person next to me on the plane, the person with whom I share an armrest or leg space. This is behavior that I would never find acceptable in another context. This is the liminal space I operate by different rules. I bring that one up to right now because of the Tower of Babel, this thought of everybody collecting in a spot and trying to achieve together, but it's what they're achieving too. They're trying to achieve that building towards the heavens has one. It's another fall up. It's another trying to reach God, where God is the one that comes to us. And Babel, which means to confuse. If you've ever traveled to places where you do not speak the language, it's confusing. It's humbling. You're so vulnerable. You are in need of care by somebody else to help understand and help navigate, or you need to have prepared and learned another language, and with that, understanding another culture. There's a beauty of that. If we all spoke the same language, there would be some things that would be easier, but maybe some of that airport liminal mentality of detachment, of a lack of need to be vulnerable, of to trying to understand the other's perspective. I know often we just go to our default modes, don't we, though? Of I'm uncomfortable, you must understand me, and I'm going to dig in my heels. That's our sinfulness too. Our fear can lead to sin, can lead to isolation, can lead to harming somebody else. I also think right now of the airports that we've been hearing about lately, Kabul, what's happening in Afghanistan, what's happening in Ukraine, what's happening in Russia. How many people are trying to get to airports or get to borders? They're in a liminal time of transition. There's so much confusion for us watching it happen, for them experiencing it, for us wondering in the confusion, where do we go next together? And there's a humbleness that we're invited to into this liminal time of knowing we don't have all the answers, that we do need each other, that our world is interconnected through airports, through commerce, through travel, through families, through workplaces. Those connecting points are important to continually create. And maybe the point of it not being a destination too, and is that we're never going to reach it. This place of connection is always going to be a place of learning, of discomfort, of maybe agitation, of fear. And how can we come in aware of that and not project that on the other people that we are with or that we are encountering, and pray that they don't do the same for us. Treat those connections as a liminal space, as thresholds that can allow us to connect and then move on to where the story goes next. To work hard at that for us all to thrive and to live. There's a lot of things that are confusing in this world. And I give thanks to God that God in Acts, in the Pentecost, doesn't lose all of our language and all of our nuance and all of our cultures, but allows us all to hear in the language of our hearts. and know that God has come for us, each and every one of us, right where we're at, right where we are at. Thanks be to God.